You're listening to the On Call Empath Show.
Hey, this is Rajmontage coming at you from the On Call Empath. I wanted to pop on here real quick and go over 3 things that kind of helped me through my healing journey and why healing is an ongoing process. There is really no end destination. And I wanted to come on here real quick and address all the people out there, the empaths, highly sensitive people, and the trauma victims who may feel like they haven't really progressed as fast as they could or progressed at all. So in this podcast episode, I want to kind of touch base on that for anyone that may have gone through a really dark time, but then came out of it and then went right back in, or if somebody that actually just came out of it and they actually are doing great. Those types of things I would love to hear. So definitely, if you have some great stories, hit me up in the comments below. And also, please, if you can subscribe and hit the like button, it would definitely help me out. So let's go ahead and get started. Number one, everything that I say, I do myself. And these are a lot of things that I talk to a lot of my clients with as well. Open up to only a select few people. And I'm going to be very specific on this and give you a quick example. Um, there have been people that I've known for years. For example, I uh, I have known so many people in my life, and many years ago, I remember, especially during my darkest times, I had people come and go in my life. And being in a dark moment, we're always looking for answers from people. It feels good to hear that positivity and someone rooting for you. Back then, I would go to a friend, a boss, anyone that's willing to listen. Now, it took me a while to figure this out, but in the long run, I look back now and it was the biggest mistake that I ever could have made because I was asking people, for instance, I had a boss once who was miserable, but they would never admit that they were. I believe they had a drinking problem as well. They had a lot of mental health issues, but when I would come to them for help, for some reason, I would feel like I was a burden. Like when I was asking a question, sometimes I wouldn't get a response. Sometimes they would tell me to grow up and it would tell me to kind of man up. But here's the deal, there's a term that says if your shit don't stink. And the thing is, all these people that I would go to, people online, that one boss I'm talking about, their shit stinked just as bad as everybody else, but yet they were walking around like it wasn't, they weren't the problem. And the reason I bring this up is because there are so many people on, social media that they're looking for answers from other people. And there's nothing wrong with that. Definitely take in the positive people, listen to certain people that make your life a lot better, makes you feel positive. But the majority of the people out there, I mean, I feel like there's always something in the background where, especially with empaths, we're looking to help somebody or we're looking for someone to listen to us. And it took me decades to figure this out, that nobody is coming to save you. No one's coming to do the work for you. No one's going to take your darkness away. And until I looked in the mirror myself and I said, there is not one single person on this planet that is going to make me feel a certain way and get me out of this funk. The only person that could do that was me. And at the time, I did not know that. At the time, I would go to this boss or um, who later became a so-called friend. And now when I reach out to him, there is no response. There is no answer. It's more of like a silent treatment. Now, I will tell you one thing. People will say, well, you don't know what he's going through. Maybe he's going through a tough time. I get it. But that's why the rule number one is you never go to anybody when you have your problems. You only go to a select few people that get it, people that you trust. And you have to evaluate this person. Are they looking at your best interest? When you talk, do they try to change the subject? When you try to say something about yourself, Do they always seem to be like, well, I gotta go. I'll talk to you later. Those people are very, very dangerous, and they will come across as very nice. They will come across as very helpful many, many times. But what I found out in my tenure in this healing journey, that all those people that lended a hand, all those people that were so-called would listen for a little bit and then gone. Now I do have some people that do, follow up years later just to see how I'm doing. People change. I get all that. But we're talking about empath. This is the on-call empath. And this is how empaths operate. We look to others for energy. And even if it's bad energy, we'll take that in ourselves. So if we go to somebody to ask um, for a lending ear or help, and that person has alternative motives, or they get irritated when you talk to them, or they give you this there's this new term called positive toxic positivity. You know, um, you guys all know what I'm talking about. Oh, you could do it. It's going to be great. It's going to be awesome. Just try harder. Sometimes trying harder is not the answer. Sometimes going to somebody and having them just listen to you is the solution. And I have had I can count on my fingers on how many people would actually let me tell them what was really going on with me, or toxic positivity. There's so many tactics. There's so many people in wolf's clothing more than ever. I mean, I feel right now in the world that we're living in, there's so much like, just this toxic positivity thing going on. And then you have these people that say that they have the answer, that all you got to do is XYZ. I'm telling you, there is no straight line in healing. It is not linear. And so that's why I wanted to make this quick video. People will test you. People will be nice. And once they got you, and right when you start opening up to the wrong person, I'm not saying everybody, but the wrong person, that's when they got you. That's when they can tell you and make you feel bad for sharing what you're going through. Because I know even myself, when I said, well, I felt this way, I would be shunned down. You shouldn't feel that way. Why are you feeling that way? Just, you're okay. Just move on, keep going forward. As an empath, that does not work for us. I know you guys know what I'm talking about. It does not work for us. Now, empath to empath, we know how to listen to each other. It's just that letting your everything out of your system by telling somebody and having someone listen is more powerful than just going to the doctor and getting a drug. And I want you guys to think about how powerful that is. Going to, let's say, a doctor, and a doctor telling you, oh, you're going to be fine. When you leave that doctor's office, you feel so much better. You feel confident. If you go to a doctor that says, oh my gosh, this is very serious, you're going to have a lot of problems later on, what do you think you're going to feel like when you leave the doctor's office? And what kind of symptoms is your mind going to conjure up? How many times are you going to go on Google and be like, oh my gosh, this is the end? So I'm using this example because it's happened to me. I'm using this doctor example because I've been to a really good one, and I've been to a really bad one. And it was the same condition with my back. One told me I'll never walk again and I'm going to be bedridden by, a certain age. The other one said I was going to be fine. So it's kind of like that experiment. Like, when, I don't know if you saw the rice experiment on YouTube, you can Google the rice experiment. They had two jars with rice in it, and one every day this person would they would label both jars. One is a good jar and bad jar. So the good one they would say positive things to, and give positive vibes, and the other one they would swear at and really talk down to it. In a certain amount of time, obviously the one that they were putting negative things into, it turned black, moldy, where the other jar with the rice in it was almost like it was brand new. It had all its color mostly. So that's how our brains work as empaths. I do know one thing: anybody that's not with you on your journey, they've got to go. And that's where non-contact comes in. That's where you have to block certain people out. Grow gray rock, because they're everywhere, especially now. Like, just in the society we live in now, it's all me, take, look at me, look at, trying to, ego, showing off. All this stuff is going on around us, so we feel like we're inadequate, like we don't fit in. And so that's what's going on today. That I'm just speaking from what my experience are. Let me know what you're thinking also. Number two, your emotions are valid. So if you have a bad day and you've been having consecutive great days, and you decide, you go tell a loved one that you're not feeling good, um, that emotion is valid. Now, if anyone invalidates you and says you shouldn't feel that way, or just get over it, or even better, the silent treatment, which was my biggest problem. I'm not afraid to explain. I'm not afraid to admit that I would go to people with certain things and say, "What would you do?" And what I found out, number one thing, A, I would go to the wrong person, and B, the reason they were the wrong person was because they were going through their own shit. So the last thing they wanted to do was listen to me. And part of the problem was a lot of these people were probably miserable themselves. So, but they would come across as, oh yeah, everything's fine, everything's rosy. But if I had known that first rule of having just a few people to go to, I would have never went to these people, like these bosses or these random people on Facebook, because they did not help the situation. They would tell me to brush it off. Oh, you'll get better tomorrow. Don't worry about it. Why do you always feel like you're complaining? You're always complaining. These types of people are a cancer. Like you don't need these types of people. And I had to go through my entire Facebook and delete half these people. And it's very tough to go through those, every person, because it's, as empaths, we'll go to anybody. We'll go to anybody that's willing to listen, anybody that's willing to take our help, because there is something within us that we want to help. And when we help, we feel good. We forget about our own problems. So I want to repeat that. When we help other people, we forget about our own problems. That's why so many empaths want to help. They want other people that are looking for help, and we want to be the first one there. Or we want to tell them our personal story and overshare. And that leads to a lot of problems, because what happens is a lot of people turn that around. They might do the silent treatment. They might make you feel ashamed for feeling a certain way. So that's why your emotions are valid, period. Doesn't matter why you feel that way or what made you feel that way. If you feel a certain way, end of story, period. And that's the end of it. And that's what I tell my clients, because when I do my coaching, and one of the things that I keep seeing over and over, the people that I coach live with people, or they have these friends that they go to for advice. And every time they go to these people, they give them bad advice, or they're like trying to avoid them. And because they get irritated when they tell them any problems, because they're dealing with their own issues. So I tell them, don't tell them anything. Don't only talk about things that matter to you, but don't open up and tell personal things. Come to me for that, or go to somebody who cares about you and knows you from maybe childhood, or somebody that you trust 100%. And in this day and age, there's so many few people you have to have that go to. And I'm not saying have a lot. I have maybe a handful. So a lot of these wolf in sheep clothing, they're miserable people, and they're having a lot of problems of their own. And they're quick to judge, and they'll say, well, you know, I'm fine. I don't know why you're talking like that. It's just not good. And sometimes I hate to say this, but no company is better than bad company. And I want you to think about that. If you can be alone, you can be very, very dangerous, because when you don't need people and you can do it yourself, imagine what you can do with the healing journey. And I do have a lot of my clients that are listening right now that I talk to on a weekly basis. You guys know that your healing came from within. I was just there to witness it. I've given you the tools. And now, when you look back 6 weeks, 12 weeks, you cannot believe that you're not having those same negative thoughts in your head. And then that's proof that you have started the healing journey. Number 3, the final one. Healing, there is no destination. You might go through this whole life trying to heal, and there's nothing wrong with that. You might go backwards. You might actually get worse and then come back stronger. Every person is different. And once you realize that, because will be days when you can't get out of bed and you're going to be like, what is going on? I'm back to square one. But that's why I'm so big on documentation and journaling and the effort that you made of getting out of bed and doing something that day, though each day does count. And that's why I write down everything so I can go back and read it and say, well, I'm not in square one because I'm reading all these pages that I've done so many great things on this day and this day and this day. I had a bad day today, but that doesn't define and erase everything that I've done well in the last 6 months. So I want to leave you guys with that. If it's not measurable, if you go on a sailboat and you have no navigation and you're just kind of going right in one direction in the storm, there has to be a compass, a way we can go towards something. And so with healing, there is no destination. There's just a certain way that we feel that we resonate with, and we go with that. That's our internal compass that we have as empaths. And all you empaths that are listening to this episode, a lot of times we can tap into that energy with people and feel people's energy. But when it comes to, things like people pleasing and boundary issues, these are when we just kind of disregard our natural born abilities, and to use them properly. I hope that makes sense. So if you're listening to this and you've spiraled into a downtrend, but you had, like, let's say a couple months ago you were doing great and you're not sure why you're feeling the way you are, that does not mean you have not made progress. I have seen and I've worked with so many people that they've done amazing, and then all of a sudden they drop off and they tell me like, hey, I'm back to square one, and they're not, because we look at every little thing that they've accomplished. They've quit their addiction. They've done a lot more things. They've done, more physical activity. They've done journaling. They've done more positive habits than negative. That's a win. And every day you strive for just 5% more. Each and every day you just strive that 5%, whether it's working out an extra 10 minutes or making your bed in the morning or telling somebody have a great day and helping somebody in need. Every day you do something 5%, 5%, 5%, and then you're going to add that up. And before you know it, you're going to be on a roll. But I wanted to do this quick podcast episode to let you guys know that in the world we live in now, there's a lot of shit going on all around us. A lot of positive toxicity, a lot of people giving advice. It's really hard to figure out which direction to go. And a lot of empaths are looking for people all over just to help them, to take the pain away or take this, issue and help me solve it. And I want to leave you with this. No one's coming to save you. No one's going to do the work. The answers lies in us, the empath that's listening, the trauma victims, the highly sensitive people. We have these innate abilities that we can use for good. But with that comes some downfalls that if we are aware of, if we know that we're not going to go to just anybody to share our energy, because they have to earn it. You have to look at it that what we have, our time, our energy, our presence is valuable. And if we give it to the wrong person, they're going to take it and use it against us. And that's going to decrease our energy. We're going to feel worse. But let me know what you think in the comments below. Please subscribe. Stay tuned for the next episode. I got a ton more high profile guests coming on this season, heading towards 200 episodes, baby. I can't wait. I've been dreaming about that for so long. I mean, I just did like number one episode, and now I'm just over 150 episodes. And that's a I wanted you guys to know that I'm telling you this not just to tell you, but I'm telling you this is because every day when I did the video, when I was like not in the mood of doing it, I didn't want to, I didn't have the motivation. I just didn't want to do it because I didn't see any point in it. I didn't think anyone was listening. If I had given up then, I wouldn't have met hundreds and hundreds of awesome guests and got so many great feedback from all my clients and met so many people around the world, and I wouldn't have been the on-call empath. Sure, there was people that helped me. Sure, there were people that was motivating and telling me I'm doing a great job and I'm saving the world. But that's not the reason I was doing it. I was doing it for my own healing. I was doing it because I wanted to put in that 5% every day. 5%, guys. No matter what it is, try it. Let me know how it goes. If you need help, you know where to go. I'm taking new coaching clients. So, with that said, stay tuned for the next episode, and we are